everyone. A people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin, or culture is like a tree without roots. People need to be aware of their origin, culture, and ideology or identity. I am Mohammed bin Isa, a member of the administrative board of Bitlisaniyat and the Linguistics Research and Language Planning team. It's a pleasure to reconnect with you all today. I am truly honored to coordinate yet another enriching lecture, this time hosting our distinguished guest, Mr. Mr. Haddaoui Mohammed. Welcome. We are delighted to have you with us. A warm welcome as well to all the participants, researchers, and professors joining us today or this evening for this special session. Bridging cultures, challenges, and strategies in translating Amazigh Proverbs into English. We extend our deepest gratitude to Dr. Marwan Al-Sakran, Dr. Safiya Kassas, Dr. Abdelkader Touati, and Professor Yassin Jamal Idrisi for their invaluable contributions in making these lectures a success. Greeting also to all professors and researchers from this international academic community, as well as to every attendee here tonight. Tonight's topic, Bridging Cultures, reminds us that language is more than communication. It is the representation of memory and identity. As Gravely wisely said, a people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. In translating Amazigh Proverbs, we safeguard these roots for future generations. Well, attendance certificates will be provided after you write your names in the live chat via the attendees name to be shared shortly. Feel free to engage with Mr. Haddaoui throughout the lecture. Your questions and interactions are highly encouraged. Our speaker tonight deals with this very challenging how to honor the soul of Amazigh Proverbs while making them resonate in English. Translation is that which transforms everything so that nothing changes. With that in mind, let me introduce our guest, Mr. Mohammed, a deducted scholar, educator, and researcher whose work sits at the crossroads of language, culture, and communication. Currently, a PhD student in applied linguistics at Moulay Ismail University in Meknes, Mr. Haddaoui brings a wealth of academic and practical experience to today's discussion. He earned his BA in Literature in 2000 and recently completed his master in Applied Linguistics Studies. Both diplomas were earned from Moulay Ismail University. With nearly 2 decades of teaching English in Morocco or in Moroccan public schools, coupled with his role as a part-time assistant professor at Moulay Ismail University, Mr. Haddaoui has not only shaped minds but also deepened his understanding of linguistics or linguistic and intercultural challenges in education. His research reflects the passion with publications such as investigating stress coping mechanisms among Moroccan PhD students, bridging the intercultural divide, sensitivity, and competence in Moroccan AFL classrooms. A lifelong or as a researcher in language, linguistics, literature, and translation, he now turns his expertise into a topic close to his academic heart, bridging cultures, challenges and strategies in translating Amazigh Proverbs into English. Please join me in giving heartfelt welcome to Mr. Mohammed. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ahmed, very much for your introduction. Hello, everybody, our dear, esteemed audience. It's actually an honor for me today to be here to talk to you about a topic which revolves around translation in general and literary translation in particular. But before delving into the topic, I'd like to express my gratitude to Ahmed and the amazing staff of Bitlisaniyat Academy for the chance and opportunity. So the work is to raise and discuss issues that are related to linguistics. I'd like also to thank the 5 participants in my study, Si Ali, Nordin, Idris, Sliman, and Khalid. I'd like to thank you all for your help. Without your collaboration, this study wouldn't have been completed. My presentation today raises the issue of translation in general and literary translation in particular. The ultimate or the main objective of this study is to shed or cast light on translating from heritage languages, endangered languages like Tamazight into English. And here by Tamazight, I'd like to clarify that I'm dealing with the Central Morocco variety. As you know, that Tamazight consists of 3 main dialects or varieties, to use linguistics terminology. So the focus is on Central Moroccan Amazigh variety. So the topic is about exploring the challenges and the coping strategies used by novice translators when embarking on translating proverbs from Central Morocco Tamazight into English. So translation is a tricky field in the sense that one has not only to deal with language, but it has to deal also with the cultural loads of the language. So as you see in these signposts here, right and wrong, here is a mistake, right, and wrong here is a mistranslation. So it should be right and left. But novice translator, right, an amateur in translation would very much make or fall into the trap of making or, making mistranslations like this one. My presentation focuses on 6 elements. I'll be dealing first with an introduction to the topic. Then I'll move on, talk about lit review. After that, I will expose the method that I have used to deal with the topic. And then I'll showcase the results obtained from the study. Then after that, I'll delve into discussion before wrapping up my presentation. Translation has been given a plethora or a myriad of definitions, but I opted for the translation by Roman Jakobson. You know, translation, we talk in general in translation about two broad types: machine translation and human translation. My focus is on human translation, and mainly on interlingual or proper translation, as it is called by Roman Jakobson. Roman Jakobson defined translation, I mean interlingual translation, as an interpretation of verbal signs by means of other signs of the same language. Jakobson talked about three types: intralingual, interlingual, and intrasemiotic translation. So with intra, he referred to translating between within the language, right? So, like for example, from dialect of the same language, and he talked also about intersemiotic translation. So, trying to translate signs. And we have the interlingual, which means between languages, from one language into another. Another typology that was provided by Newmark talks about two types: non-literary translation, which deals with translating facts, things which are characterized by facts, events, ideas, and literary translation, which deals with images, metaphors, and allegory, or figures of speech. So the focus in my presentation, as I said earlier, is on literary translation. Literary translation has numerous advantages. And here I'd like to recall of some of its advantages, be they linguistic, cognitive, or cultural. So linguistically speaking, translation broadens or widens the scope of the translator as the translator learns more vocabulary, expressions, and phrases. And this allows them to enlarge their repertoire as far as language is concerned. Cognitively, the translator kind of plays some kind of mental acrobatics, moving from one language or swaying from source language to target language, forward and backward. And this is a beneficial thing in terms of in terms of cognition, because he trains or she trains the mind on moving from language to another language. And here we can give the example of brain plasticity. The mind here, or the brain, is used, which is the ultimate goal here. Then we have the cultural goal, which goes beyond the linguistic benefits. Translating from one language into another does not involve only grammatical forms or structures. It involves also knowledge about the target culture. And knowing about the target culture could trigger, reflections on one's language, mother tongue, or the source language, so to speak. So here, knowing about other cultures benefits also the translator and benefits the audience or the readership of after the work has been done. Another major advantage or benefit of literary translation has to do with cross-cultural or intercultural side. So here, the literary translation allows for bridging the gap between the source language and the source, the target language, the source culture and the target culture also. So it's bridging the gap, it's bridging or reducing the lacuna between these two languages. Also, cross-cultural communication, cultural translation facilitates or eases communication and promotes understanding between communities. So we are living in a globalized, an increasingly globalized world, and we need cross-cultural competence. And cross-cultural translation allows for such a thing to happen. Last but not least, intercultural cultural translation helps develop cross-cultural competence. So sensitivity, awareness, and adroitness are very essential in today's academy or academic spheres or arenas. So these are some of the benefits or the merits of literary translation. So as far as literature review is concerned, I'll be tackling the following points. I'll be talking about defining proverbs. What are proverbs? I'll be talking about translating proverbs, issues that are related to translating proverbs, the challenges, the coping mechanism or strategies adopted by translators, and I'll mention some of the related studies, in spite of the fact that studies on Amazigh proverbs are scarce. There is a rarity of studies. Then let me talk about proverbs. What do we mean by a proverb? One of the most succinct definitions given the field is the one given by Meder, 1985. He defined proverbs as short, generally known sentences of the folk, which contains wisdom, truth, morals, traditional views, metaphors, fixed. They are fixed and memorizable forms. And also they are handed from generation to generation. So they belong to the cultural repertoire and heritage of a particular community or society or speech community. Proverbs are characterized by certain aspects that make them unique. The first thing, as mentioned earlier in the definition by Meder, is brevity. The idea of brevity and being concise, cut down, right, is a trait of proverbs. These fixed expressions, they are kind of elliptical sentences, but they are full of meaning and they are succinct and they do the job. So though they are short and brief, they are loaded with meaning, and they are also loaded with metaphorical images. These fixed expressions are, to some extent, culture bound. Sometimes some proverbs are universal, and some proverbs are culture bound. They are culture specific, meaning that they are embedded or ingrained in specific socio-cultural realities. So these proverbs are merely products or outcomes of experiences of people in different cultures across space and time. So these are the main traits or the main characteristics of Proverbs. The Proverbs pose great challenges. They are not easy to translate. So because they are culture specific, culture bound, they are extremely linked to people's experiences in life. Cultures are different. Of course, we don't have identical cultures, and we don't have identical languages. So one of the first challenges comes from the idea that languages, are kind of families. Some of them are close, some of them are distant. Here we are talking about language distance. So we've got families. We're talking about, for example, Indo-European languages. We're talking about Uralic languages, Germanic languages, Afro-Asiatic languages. Afro-Asiatic languages like Amazigh and Arabic and Hebrew. They are Afro-Asiatic languages or Hamito-Semitic languages. So we have the Sino-Tibetan family. So we have different families, but like people, human beings are related. We are in general one big family, and languages, project this also. It is one big family with differences, with commonalities and particularities. So the Tamazight variety, or Tamazight in general, is kind of distant from English. English belongs to the family of Germanic, West Germanic languages, and Tamazight belongs to the family of Afro-Asiatic or Hamito-Semitic languages. So I tried a site which is called elinguistics.net, right? And I did a comparison. I tried a comparison. It's there. It's already done. Just I wanted to see how distant is Tamazight from English, and I found that 81.1% of distance, which means it is distant. So the scale is from 0 to 100, and the more you are close to 100, it means that the two languages are distant and are far from each other, and this poses difficulties to translators. The second main challenge in literary translation is that it is raised by the typology of cultures. Edward T. Hall, as you know, is an American anthropologist and linguistic. In 1970, wrote a book called or entitled Beyond Culture, and he talked about two types of cultures. He talked about high context cultures and low context cultures. And by high context culture, he meant that people in this culture so keep going around the bush, providing details and examples before getting to the point, right? Our culture, so as a Middle Eastern culture, belongs to the high context culture. So in opposition to low context cultures, in which the individual likes precision and likes to get into the point before giving or providing details. So differences in cultures also add to the challenges faced by translators. Also, we can mention here the universalism of language versus relativity, so put forward by Sapir and his student Worf, talking about the relativity of language and versus universalism, which presupposes that there are more commonalities between languages and culture than differences. Another major challenge is the cultural differences, the linguistic and cultural differences existing between languages. So the gaps are targeted by translators. The job of the translator is to reduce the gap and fill it if possible. So filling the gap here is not easy matter or is no easy task for translators, be they novice or professional. So it's an ongoing, it's a continuous challenge. Another major conundrum that translators face is limited linguistic and cultural competence. Here, being proficient in language is very important, but also it is the same thing with culture. So one has to be bilingual and bicultural. So because being bilingual cannot guarantee that the translator would make good translations, because so they need proficiency in the source and the target cultures as well. The last challenge here is the lack of training or poor and inadequate training. So here we cannot talk about a good translator unless the translator receives some skills, because skills are very important. So you cannot just go and start translating from a language to another language without knowing about the theory, without knowing about the challenges, without knowing about the coping mechanisms that you need to employ and deploy to deal with the issues emerging from such work. Of course, these challenges trigger coping mechanisms among translators, because people cannot just, I'm talking here about translators, so they cannot just keep their hands crossed and do nothing. They need to come up with coping ideas or ways to do translation. One of the coping strategies in that novice teachers resort to is word-for-word translation or literal translation. Here, the novice translator kind of jumps into literal translation because he rushes into it thinking that it would solve the problem. But most of the time it doesn't, especially when they are dealing with literary translation and having to translate idioms and phrases and proverbs. So it doesn't solve the problem. So when it doesn't solve the problem, the translator thinks about preserving the meaning through paraphrasing. So paraphrasing is rewriting the fixed expression, the proverb, or attempting to rewrite it in one's own words using the target language, with the hope of keeping the meaning intact and that the translation makes sense to the audience. After that, comes equivalence. Equivalence is triggered when the translator tries to look in the treasure, on the trove they have, from from their memory, things they know about the target culture, the common things. They try to see if there are an equivalent proverb or idiom of the idiom in the source language. So here some focus on semantic equivalence, some on communicative equivalence. Newmark talked about semantic and communicative equivalence. By semantic equivalence, he said he meant that the translator here seeks to preserve the meaning and make the translated text meaningful. And by communicative equivalence, he said that the translator looks for an effect on the audience. If the translated text doesn't make an effect on the audience, then it is a mistranslation. And of course, there are other techniques or procedures used, like annotations, notes, additions, and omissions, glosses, etc. So there are plenty of coping strategies that translators can use to deal with the issue and overcome the difficulties. Some of the related studies here, we have a study by Raja Abrigash, 2021. She dealt with culture-specific issues in Moroccan proverbs. And here, the relation with my study is that it focuses on culture-specific Moroccan proverbs. And also in Tamazight, we have culture-specific proverbs. They are loaded with culture. So that's what's in common, right? And of course, in Darija and Tamazight, we have equivalents, and we don't know which one took from the other. So it's one culture, and let's say it's one culture with different expressions. One is using Arabic, Darija, Moroccan language, and the other one is using Tamazight, one of the native languages of Moroccans. So this is the first one, and the second and most important one was done by Najib Haddaoui and others in the year 2023. So the article concentrates on maintaining cultural identity. He zoomed in on Rifi and Amazigh Proverbs, and he talked about different strategies used by the respondents. And he mentioned literal translation, paraphrasing, transliteration, among others. It is obvious that translators focus on world-known languages, right? But actually, they should also include varieties of the same language or endangered heritage languages in their translations, because such endangered languages and heritage languages need to be included, incorporated, and somehow preserved. We talk about biodiversity, and a few of us talk about linguistic and cultural diversity. It's of paramount importance to preserve and protect diversity. So the world is plural, and so it has never been singular. And we should not keep insisting on singularity, because when we are doing so, we are neglecting, diversity and plurality. So this study comes to shed light on translating from Tamazight into English, with the hope of sharing ideas and insights about it with English speakers, not only in Morocco but worldwide. The study's objectives revolve about around three objectives. The first is to identify or unravel the main challenges faced by novice teachers when embarked on translating from Tamazight into English, elicit the main coping strategies they resorted to solve the problems they encountered during the journey, doing the task. And the third objective is about eliciting or drawing out on recommendations for bolstering or enhancing or improving translation from Tamazight into English. So as far as the research questions are concerned, I try to answer three queries or questions. The first one is, what are the main challenges faced by novice teachers translating from Tam into English? How do they cope with these challenges and conundrums? How do they make their way out? And what do they recommend, their advice, recommendations to enhance translation? As far as the method that I employed to deal with this issue, I opted for a quantitative approach because the nature of the study required it. So it couldn't be quantitative it wasn't easy to find the participants and the respondents of the study. So that's why I opted for the qualitative, and also for the merits and benefits of the qualitative approach, because it allows for an in-depth, comprehensive knowledge of the topic. So because we cannot quantify everything, so that's why I opted for it. So the instrument that I used is email interview, and the sampling was done. Technique was snowball. I contacted a friend, and he helped me getting in touch with participants who would volunteer take part in the study. These volunteers are all of them are EFL teachers. Some of them work in a junior school, some others in a higher school, and they are EFL teachers. As I said, their level is advanced in English, and they are native speakers of Tamazight, so Central Morocco Tamazight. So I collected the data through email interviews, because this allowed me to to gain some time and allow the respondents to respond according to their pace. So FL teachers, so they got a job and they got obligations, so they needed time for that. So then I analyzed the results using thematic analysis. I went through their responses and came up with the common threads or patterns. So trying to focus on four major elements, like the merits of the experience, the challenges, the coping strategies adopted, and the recommendations. Excuse me. Here is the task. I chose 10 proverbs from Amazigh Proverbs that I myself collected, and here I'd like to pay tribute to my mother and my grandmother. May Allah rest her soul. So I was always interested in expressions, phrases, idioms, and managed to collect nearly 100 of them. So I took 10 proverbs and translate trade them and ask the participant to translate them and provide equivalents if found. So, Si Ahmed, can I go and read the proverbs or translations?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. So the first one, the first proverb is "Unnachfika ifigr leitugud izikr," which translate as "He who's scared by the snake dreads the rope." And here we have it also in Darija, لداز عليه الحنش كيخاف من الحبل. The equivalent is once bitten, twice shy. The second one is Izaur Busiyar Thalunth, and which means that a large sieve mocks or blames a small sieve. And sieve, we use it to sieve or separate chaff from grain. It is used by women. It's looks like a kind of a hand drum, right? And here the sieve with large holes is blaming or mocking the one with small sieves, a small hole, sorry. And we have the equivalent in the English culture, a kettle calling a pot black. Proverb 3 goes, a day goodin urda cousin. Too many people cannot dig in the same spot because you have too many people and you have the axes, they cannot do the job. The possible equivalent is too many cooks spoil the broth. The fourth one is Urilisha Blasha. Nothing is for free. Nothing comes free in life, which is an English saying, a common one, meaning that one has to do to make efforts if they want to gain something, like no gain, no pain also. 5 goes Urdeitar Usfad Abeilal. You can't make fire with one or single firewood. And here we are talking about binarism or duality in life, man, woman, right? So, and the saying in English, which is close in equivalence, is "it takes two to tango." And tango is a very famous Argentinian dance where a man dances with a woman. It takes two to tango. The proverb number 6 is "Bidr igdi tasi tagrit." Talk of the dog and the dog is there. Talk of the devil and the devil is there. And here, as you notice, so we have the equivalent in English, but in our culture we use dog, and also it is used in Darija, same thing. But here we have dog in our culture and devil in the English culture. So here you notice here cultural differences for the stereotypes we have about dogs in culture, and the European culture or German cultures, dealing evoking devil and seeing everything which is evil as devil. The 7th proverb is Yufa u Qarsha al-Gimas, the carding tool. Carding tools, they are tools used to card, right, wool. They are used by ladies in the countryside, mostly now. So different parts of Morocco. 2 peas in a pod. So here we are talking about 2 people that go together and who are close friends. So they are easygoing and with each other. And the 8th proverb is Urda itlag ikhfens ghasazir, which means only a bull would lick itself or himself. So here we are talking about someone who is praising themselves too much. And the equivalent which was provided is ring one's own bell. So when someone is self-contained, too proud of themselves. We say that only a bull would lick himself or itself. The ninth, one before the last, unna uriufin amwir leitgat amwirt. If you can't find sickle, sorry, here it's not sickle. Sickle, it's a tool which is used to cut crops and harvest. It looks like number 5. And the equivalent is, if you don't have what you want, you must like what you have. Here we have the sickle, and we have a knife sickle. It's small, it's billhook knife, used mainly to cut mint, or to cut crops that are used to feed, like fodder, so used to feed animals. And the last proverb goes, "Unnayla naqmu ila tamazirt." He who has silver tongue can make a fortune. So if you are outspoken, if you can defend your rights, you can own a land, meaning you can, benefit from it. And here, new equivalent is found. My esteemed audience, if someone got an equivalent proverb for this one, saying or an idiom in the English culture, I'd be, grateful if you could share it. So these are the 10 proverbs that I assigned as a task to the participants in the study. So as far as the results are concerned, let me first give you some information about the respondents. There were 5 participants. All of them were males. I tried to contact 2 ladies, and one of them apologized. She was sick, and the other one apologized and said that she couldn't do it. Right? That's why ended up with having 5 male participants. And as I said earlier, so they are proficient native speakers of TAM, and their level in English, as they reported it, is advanced level. And they said that they have no prior experience whatsoever in dealing with translating proverbs. This is as far as the socio-demographic information of the participants is concerned. As far as the result reported by the participants about the challenges they faced, so one of the major challenges they faced is finding equivalent. Here I'm talking about 4 of them. Is the equivalents, 4 out of 5, equivalent of certain terms, like tellunt, which means, it has 2 meanings: hand drum, which is used by ahwash and ahidus, so, and sieve, which is used to separate grain from chaff by ladies. So the problem here arose from polysemy. So some of the participants couldn't come up with 2 meanings, and that's why they struggled with translations. Also, another term is qarshal, we say it, which is carding tool. So here there is an equivalent for it, but here they may not have. Some of them, I'm talking about 2 of them, found it difficult, right, to provide an equivalent to this term. So they used some language to explain it and account for the translation loss or the inability to come with the term. And another one, which is from Proverb 5, it's asfat, which is firewood. 3 participants couldn't come up with the translation. And of course, the difference between amgur and tamgur, sickle and small sickle, right? In Tamazight, we have amgur, words starting with A or I, right, indicate masculine, whereas the words that start with ta and with ta, they are feminine. So and we use also the words that start with ta just to talk about small things, right? Amgur means big sickle, and tamgur small sickle. So which is a billhook machete, like the machete is used by explorers in rainforests trying to cut the bushes and grass to make their way to move on. And we have dealing with metaphorical content, some proverbs like Proverb 8 and 10, for example. So they are loaded with meaning, and this pose difficulties for the let's say 4 participants, except one of the participants. So he faced no major difficulties whatsoever with the translations. And also they had that issue of being faithful. So fidelity has been an issue. So they reported that they did their best to keep their translations, preserve the meaning. So this also was another issue. So for the strategies employed to deal with such issues, they tried first to avoid literal translation. 3 out of 5 of the participants did their best, to avoid literal translation. As I said earlier, so literal translation is what comes into the mind when you first want to translate something, right? But when you are stuck, when you can do it, when you find out that something is wrong, you resort to paraphrasing. So they say, okay, I can't do it. It's difficult somehow. I need just to do my best to transfer the meaning, rewrite the proverb, using different words, but keeping the meaning. The third one was equivalence. So the third strategy reported by the participant was equivalent, finding equivalence, functional equivalence in the target language. And the last one, so they said that 3 out of 5 said that they reached out for help and assistance from elders of the community and from friends who are Tamazight speakers, because they wanted to understand the context, the real meaning. So and again we have that idea of fidelity, so on their minds. Literary translation is no easy task. It's a daunting task for amateur, novice, or professional translators. But it has numerous merits. So the respondents reported that they really enjoyed the experience. And they thanked the researcher for giving them this opportunity to reconnect with their culture, as most, if not all of them, moved from countryside to work in urban areas. So that connection with their cultural heritage and language was allowed through this task of translation. So they said that the task was beneficial for them in many ways. Also, the challenges which were reported, generally, as we said, is problems with literal translation, with culturally loaded proverbs, and this aligns with literature, because you cannot do translation only when you by focusing on grammatical structures and forms. Not enough, because language and culture, are inseparate. They are like conjoined twins or Siamese twins. They are inseparable. So you have to deal with this dual task. It's a double task, and you have to kill two birds with one stone. It's very important. Otherwise, you will end up translating the fixed expression or the proverb. As far as the procedures were concerned, so here the procedures or the strategies used, so they ranged from literal translation into finding equivalent proverbs, and other strategies were not used. And this is quite clear, because even because the translators so said that they have no prior experience. So because when you don't know about the terms or the concepts, you find it difficult to talk about concepts, because you didn't have any training whatsoever, because you need to know about literature, so the theories in translation. So you cannot talk about this or that strategy that you use if you don't know about the term or the concept. As far as the recommendations are concerned, so I'll give a list of recommendations that the participants came up with. So the first one is that preserving endangered languages like Tamazight is a must. It's a necessity. So to ensure linguistic diversity and to allow people to share the jewels, the wisdoms, the truths of other cultures could be done through translation. Also, they talked about the paramount importance of having adequate and quality training. So they said that being bilingual is not enough, because one has to be bilingual, bicultural, and above all, they need training, because if skills are lacked, there could be no good translations of any text whatsoever, be it short or long. Being bilingual and bicultural, I mentioned that earlier, and also the suggested teaching translation at universities or all universities. By teaching translation, they mean, one of them may explain that they need skills, because what they have seen in university is not enough. So they need skills transfer. Because courses talk about university, they focus on theory and some examples, right? But they don't delve into the issue, because students need to know about the skills. No skills, no good translations. Also, they recommended initiating associations, forums, and here the importance of teamwork and group work, because translation could be done in teams, right? It could yield more results than when an individual is embarked on the journey himself or herself. Also, they expressed their views regarding the lack of digital resources, because they said that they could not find any digital resources that could help them deal with the issues they faced. And also they said, two of them suggested, why not make use of AI in literary translation to ease the barriers. So to overcome the barriers is of paramount importance. As far as the limitations of the study are concerned, so this study is a small scale study. It involved 5, but I said that before, it was difficult to find someone who is bilingual and who is ready and willing to participate in the study. And also, here a larger scale study could make a difference. Also, this study has used qualitative approach. A mixed study would yield better results, because having that comprehensive idea on the issue, it would take quantitative and qualitative approaches to combine together. And also, as you may have noticed, that my study focused on one-way translation, translating from Amazigh into English, and not from English into Tamazight. Also, one of the problems or issues we are facing as researchers in Morocco is reluctance of participants to take part in studies. As far as the suggestions for further research is concerned, I think that future research could adopt mixed method approaches, as I said earlier, use larger samples if found, could be, if it's possible, maybe do quasi-experimental study with university students, for example, studying translation course, and why not conduct a comparative study and incorporate the 3 varieties of Tamazight, like I mentioned. Si Najib Haddaoui and his colleagues worked on the Rifian Amazigh variety, worked on the Central Morocco variety. What if a researcher or a team of researchers combine efforts and try to study the issues related to proverbs across the varieties of Tamazight, commonly known, I'd like to mention here, commonly known as Berber, because if foreigners tend to use Berber instead of Tamazight. But let me clarify here one thing, that Berber is a misnomer, and it has negative connotations for Tamazight speakers, because it was given by the Greek. Its etymology, right? So in Greek, barbaros, barbari means foreigner, outsider, so uncivilized, and so on and so forth. It is associated with negative connotations. This is one thing. Second thing is that there is no single dialect or variety across Africa that uses the term Berber in varieties. In varieties, we don't use it. We don't call people Berbers, Barbari, or so in Tamazight. All right. Plus, one thing which is very essential. It is given. This term is given to the Greek, to many people, not only North Africans at the time, and we know about the Hellenic, Greco-Roman cultures. It was something that was inherited. This is just to clarify something about the etymology of the word. To wrap up, I'd like to say that literary translation allows for bridging intercultural lacunas or gaps between languages and culture. It permits preserving or the preservation of heritage languages, endangered languages, and Tam is a case in point in here. It enhances language diversity, and it promotes understanding, intercultural communication. So this is very, important. Sometimes we have to work in environments where you have people from different backgrounds, and you have to show respect. You have to be sensitive about their cultures so that you can work as a team, for example. So without knowing about each other backgrounds, there could be maybe misunderstandings, and there could be some problems that may arise every now and then. So this is very important. Uh, but when it comes to translators, so it's no easy task. As I said, one has to be fluent, bilingual, bicultural. They need to be well versed in source language, target language, source culture, target culture. So training is very much needed. It's not complementary. It's necessity, and also I think that we can use technology to help ease the task of literary translation, but technology may not solve the problem, because sometimes a proverb can mean can mean different things in different contexts, and the human touch is always there, and it is needed. And here are some of the references that I used. Thank you very much, esteemed audience. Thank you so much for your attention. I'd be glad to answer any questions related to my study. Thank you, Si Ahmed. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Haddaoui. Translation is not a matter of words. Do you get my voice clearly?
Yes.
Okay. Translation is not a matter of words only. It's a matter of making intelligible a whole culture, according to Anthony Burgess. Mr. Haddaoui's lecture on translation or challenges and strategies in translating Amazigh Proverbs into English was both enlightening and timely. As an emerging scholar in applied linguistics and a seasoned educator, he skillfully highlighted the delicate role of translation as an act of intercultural mediation, one that requires not only linguistic proficiency, but also deep cultural sensitivity. And this is one of the problems that he faced while trying to choose participants for his study. Uh, his research underscores a critical gap in translation studies, the neglect of heritage languages like Tamazight and other African languages, despite the rich oral and literary traditions. By focusing on Amazigh Proverbs, Mr. Haddaoui exposed the multi-layered challenges novice translators face, from capturing culture-specific meanings. The methodological difficulty of his study, combining email interviews and thematic analysis, or using the mixed approach, provided valuable insights into practical coping strategies. These findings resonate with broad debates in applied linguistics about preserving linguistics diversity while fostering the intercultural dialogue. As someone who bridges academia and classroom practices, Mr. Haddaoui's work reminds us that translating proverbs isn't merely a technical skill or a technical task, but a cultural act of preservation. His lecture leaves us with pressing questions. These questions are addressed to researchers and followers. How can we better equip translators to handle untranslatable cultural concepts? And what institutional support might safeguard heritage language in global translation frameworks. This discussion is vital step toward recognizing Tamazigh's place in both linguistic scholarships and global cultural heritage. Thank you, Mr. Haddaoui, for this uh, insightful lecture and compelling contribution. Let's just try to discuss some ideas from your presentation. Your work highlights the role of translation in preserving endangered languages. Beyond Proverbs, what other Tamazigh literary forms do you think urgently needs scholarly attention and why?
Thank you, Ahmed.
Well,
Well, I think that in literary translation, so Tamazight needs attention. And when it comes to fixed expressions like idioms also, they need to be shed light on. So Tamazight is full of idioms that are used in daily language for different purposes. Also, we have stories or folk stories, bedtime stories. So I think that these elements, along with poetry, so they need attention. And I'd like here to recall an experience that I had back in the year 2002. So there was a festival in my area, so which, as you may know, Haddaoui Festival, and there was a friend from the United States of America. So we met there, and he asked me to translate for him what poets, sing and folk dances. Right. When I translated certain verses to him from Tam into English, he was amazed, and he said, "Wow! So these people, they are old." He said, "These people with jalabas and turbans, they say such things like you said." And I said, no, I'm lying to you. So I was joking first, and I said, yes, that's what they are saying. So he was amazed, and from that time on, for 3 or 4 years, he was hooked on. So whenever that festival draws near, he gives me a call, asking if I would be there to translate for him. And I still remember that he said that those verses are full of wisdom. So, and speaking of wisdom is human, and translation would allow us to share the truths, the wisdoms, the jewels of cultures, subcultures. So human culture is one, but we got subcultures. So preserving subcultures would enrich the universal, the human culture, and give it a shape, and would enhance diversity, as I said earlier. So idioms, phrases, riddles, short stories, poetry verses, and we have also types in poetry, or genres in poetry. I think these need attention, and it can be first done through translation.
Indeed, Mr. Haddaoui, thank you. There's also poetry or oral tales. They can provide several amazing ideas to readers from other languages. Your participants were novice translators. Based on your findings, what specific skills or training would you recommend to better equip future translators working with the Tamazight?
Well, I think the first thing, they should be equipped with theory, because knowing about the theories on translation is very important. Also, they need to study the challenges both faced by novice translators and even professional translators, so that they can gain insight. But most importantly, they need the skills. So, as I said before, the skills to translate, and they needed to know about the concepts. So sometimes you feel in the report of some of my participants that they want to talk about certain concepts or terms, but they don't know about the term because they didn't receive any training whatsoever. So, and I think most of them, maybe or at least some of them, studied translation as a module, maybe at university. So I think that universities should focus on translation courses. There should be some collaboration and cooperation between universities, and value should be given to translation, so nationwide, so so that this discipline, can help, in the development of the country, because Morocco is located in a very strategic, geographical position. So we are dealing with North Africa and Middle East, with Sub-Saharan Africa, with Europe, with Latin America and North America. So our geographical position would require from us that we need to communicate well with others. We need to learn from others and let others know about our culture also. So, and this only can be done through translations. And all kind of translations would work. I'm not talking here about literary translation alone. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Haddaoui. You noted that participants used paraphrasing or seeking equivalents in case where no English equivalent exists. Do you think borrowing the Amazigh term with explanation could be a viable strategy?
Yes. In translation, we have that strategy or concept of borrowing. Loan words, exist in all languages and varieties of languages. So there is no single language in the world which does not contain borrowings or loan words. So this is, very much shows that human beings, communities learn from each other. So there is no harm in borrowing terms and providing explanations, right, annotation or notes, because the ultimate goal is to transfer, to faithfully, or as much as you can transfer, the meaning from the source language and the source culture into the target language and target culture. That's what counts. But with novice teachers, with novice translators, they would find it kind of shameful, right? To keep a word, something like that, or maybe they would be too considerate of the English-speaking audience. So here it's very important. I read a book about the influences of early migrations of North African in the British Isles. It's entitled Nine Waves of the Sea by Liam McGrath. And he talked about North Africans who made it there in the British Isles. He talked about tribes like the Picts. And he said that those Picts used tattoos, very much like tattoos we have in North Africa. And he also talked about clothing. He mentioned wearing the bornos, so the jellaba with the hooded jellaba, and he provided, explanations and evidence for that. So here we have I want to allude here to the movement, the idea of the movement, the history of human beings is one of migrations. So you have the strata of or the layers of humanity, so formed through migrations. So there is continuous movement, continuous shift. It is human, it is linguistic, and we need to try to use insights from history, so that we can learn from each other, so that we can mutually understand each other, and allow for an intercultural dialogue between different communities and different cultures.
Thank you, Mr. Haddaoui. Again, how might collaboration with anthropologists or Amazigh cultural practitioners enrich this work beyond purely linguistic approaches?
Yes, I think translation is an interdisciplinary, right, field, and the contributions from all subfields of linguistics and culture would enrich it, because when you are translating with the cultural insight in your mind, so the context is clear for you. So you would do good translations where once you know about the contexts, the uses of certain aspects of language. So anthropologists, do a great job, because they reveal about communities. So the daily lives of communities, the historical artifacts. So they highlight that, and these things. When we talk about these ideas, they are in language. They are inherent in language. They are expressed in language. So it's you have language is clothed. It's clothed, right, with cultural aspects. So all linguists, sociolinguists, psycholinguists. So all disciplines could help us get insights and understandings of any speech community or cultural community, and allow us to transfer that and share it with other communities, sub-communities, and the national community. So, let me give this analogy that I like to use about the Moroccan culture. The Moroccan culture resembles a big river, and we have tributaries, small rivers flowing into the big river, which is Moroccan culture. So we have to celebrate this diversity through translation, through any kind of academic work, because these things are promote development, as far as culture is concerned.
Indeed, Mr. Haddaoui, anthropologists could trace how proverbs function in rituals, while artists might adopt them into visual storytelling. This multidisciplinary thick description would inform more nuanced translations. Also, we can translators may also get help from using technology. Now, artificial intelligence may also be included in collecting data, trying to make these connections between meanings and so on. as both a PhD researcher and a long-time educator. What moment or experience solidified your passion for studying Tamazight English translation? Or when you feel that there is a need to study Tamazight English translation?
Well, as I said, as I mentioned earlier, with that encounter with that American guy and with some Peace Corps activities, pushed me somehow to explain certain aspects of my culture to foreigners. So they wanted to know, and they give me the chance to ponder and think over certain aspects of my culture. So that I was kind of unaware of. Things were my subconscious. I grew up in a Tamazight speaking area, so I learned a lot in my life from my grandma and then, grandparents, especially my grandma. So a lot of values and wisdoms that I get from her. So were ingrained in my mind, but the catharsis was meeting with foreigners, and that's what triggered that in my mind. Also, I wrote some poems in Tamazight at some time. Well, I try to explain things about my culture to Darija speakers who don't know about Tamazight. I got friends from different parts, right? Sometimes I kind of intervene in a discussion to explain certain things, and this, pushed me to get more and more interested in highlighting. So I said, well, I can have a duty. Why not try to share these things with my friends, speakers of Darija or French or English? Why not? Why not, bridge cultural, establish or build cultural bridges and let them know and understand and answer these questions. So discussing such issues is of salient importance, and that's what triggered interest in from my part. Yes, back to you, Ahmed.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Haddaoui. While we communicate with others, we may find difficulties in translating some ideas or phrases or meanings to us, because when we are communicating and we get that question, what does it mean? You just start thinking on how to explain this rich meaning to another person. For those inspired to contribute to Tamazight language preservation, what practical steps would you recommend, whether through research, teaching, or communicating projects?
Yes, I think there should be kind of combination. So we should focus on research, right? And sharing the findings and the results of research with the readers, with the audience, be they students or otherwise, because doing research alone is not enough. So we need to dust off the research already done and use it to enrich the spectrum of studies in Morocco. So why not, for example, start teach modules about Moroccan cultures. So teaching modules about Moroccan cultures would raise awareness of students, would help them be conscious of their own heritage, cultural heritages, and this would, make them proud of their origins, of their culture, of their backgrounds. So how can you talk about a future citizen who is not proud of their culture? So if you have citizens who are not proud of their cultures, they would be easily assimilated. They would be followers of the East and the West, North and South, but they wouldn't kind of be ashamed of their origins and backgrounds. And this would not create a well-informed, sagacious, wise, proud citizen in the future. So a number of steps need to be implemented at the academic level, and we should celebrate diversity. We should be looking for ways, innovative ways of celebrating the linguistic and the cultural diversity that Allah provided this country with. So it's a gift. It's not a curse. So plurality, we have singularity and plurality. Yes, we are singular. This is Morocco. We got our culture, but we have subcultures. We have varieties of language. So variety is the spice of life, as you know. So it's a richness.
Yeah,
So
indeed, as you said, a person who without history is like a tree without roots. As you said, in our academia or at the Moroccan universities, we teach students diversity, but we focus on the outside, teaching the British culture, the American culture, discussing these differences between Europe and the Maghreb, but we don't share or we don't provide students with ideas about the differences that are within our culture. While you were talking, there was Mr. Mahraoui. Mr. Mahraoui, he was making this comparison between translating from Tamazight to English and between translating from Rifi to English. So, as you said, we have a very rich culture, a very rich context, and we may get some some more richness when we discuss within our universities. And we need more policies or language policies that might glorify the using Tamazight language or including teaching Tamazight to students within universities. You may find there are some, but we need to enlarge these experiences or these practices that are related to teaching Tamazight and teaching translation from Tamazight to other languages. Thank you for the insights you shared with us tonight, dear Professor Haddaoui. Before the end of this lecture, any final words or thoughts?
thank you, Si Ahmed. I'd like to mention two things. I'd like to reiterate my thanks and gratitude for Bitlisaniyat Academy and the amazing staff. I'd like also to thank the 5 participants, the volunteers in my study. I'd like also to extend my thanks to my supervisor, Dr. Hisham Labidi. There is one thing that I'd like to mention, that we still have that issue of dialect versus language, and I'd like to talk here about the witticism by Max Weinreich. When he said language is a dialect with an army and the navy. So people still having this issue of dialect and language. So a dialect could be promoted to language. So most of the languages which are world-known languages are kind of a dialects that evolved through time. And it takes only for stages for a dialect to be standardized as a language. So selection, then you have codification, then after that elaboration of functions, then comes acceptance. So it sometimes it's about political will and funds. And what I want to say is that we should not, delve into such trivial matters and forget about the importance of learning languages, about knowing cultures. So like when you say the English, the RP, or received pronunciation of English, is a dialect. It is spoken in an area. We are using it now, right? So, but in England, you have dialects, you have accents. Again, the idea of pluralism, of diversity, it's always there. And being against plurality or diversity, so is a kind of being Don Quixotean. So it's not realistic. So we need to correct certain stereotypes, right? So to deal with such things before embarking on the task of learning, of researching, of teaching, and sharing experiences on languages and cultures. Sihmed, thank you so much, Sihmed.
You're welcome, Mr. Haddaoui, for as you mentioned before, we need more collaborative work that includes anthropologists, linguists, cultural studies researchers, translation researchers, and also people who are experts in using technology or that have technical abilities in order to provide projects that may clarify this translation and also may help in providing visions for future use of both proverbs and language. Well, knowledge is like a tree. No one can encompasses it alone. This evening's discussion on bridging cultures, challenges, and strategies in translating Amazigh Proverbs into English has truly been collective effort of shared wisdom. A heartfelt thank you to our esteemed speaker, Professor Mohammed Haddaoui, for illuminating the delicate art of translation and its profound cultural significance. Your insights have planted seeds for further dialogue and research. What I like in these lectures is that those questions that are raised, I don't look for answers, but questions in order to trigger this research well and help researchers to do more work on several topics. We send our deepest gratitude to all supervisors within this academy for their unwavering guidance and support. We also extend our gratitude to our organizing committee and all attendees. Engagements made the event a success. Mark your calendar to make your calendar to join us for our upcoming lecture, teaching English content through the SIOP model in a safe, regulated setting next Saturday at 7 p.m. To examine this powerful framework for sheltered instruction. To our honored guest, Mr. Haddaoui, may your important work continue to bridge cultures. To all attendees, thank you for making this exchange of knowledge so vibrant. Have a wonderful evening, and may we all continue to be learners and researchers of language and culture. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sihmed. Thank you, Ahmed.
Yeah, just a moment.